All right. Well, we have hit 1 o'clock, and we're going to go ahead and proceed with the webinar. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. A quick introduction. My name is Roman Delino. I'm account executive here at Qvinci Software, and I'm going to be taking you through the Qvinci 101 webinar today that really the objectives are to help you understand the why behind Qvinci, the what we does, and the what's in it for me. So, we always like to touch on a couple of items coming in. So we do have other upcoming webinars in the near future. First one's going to be Consolidation Made Easy. That one's going to be July 7th, a Thursday, between 1 and 1:45 Central Daylight Time. And then our follow-up webinar to our restaurant clients and anyone else that uses a point-of-sale system exclusively, why POS data doesn't give you the full picture. So that's going to be on July 27th, 2016. You can always view and register for all of the Qvinci webinars at the www.qvinci.com/webinars. And pick the ones that make sense for you and come join us and hopefully get some value out of it. So we always like to lead with businesses that trust us. These are clients, whether recent or long existing, that we work in, and we feel that between restoration companies, hearing aid retailers, and Amplifon, to very fast growing fitness organizations like Orange Theory Fitness, really shows the universality of what Qvinci has to offer, the value that is financial reporting, and how applicable it is to any franchise environment, any multi-unit environment that really needs to understand at a deeper level what drives profitability from a unit perspective. So we're going to cover our agenda. The agenda today, we're going to go over about Qvinci, a quick history on where we started, where we came from, and where we're at now. Then we're going to get into the what is it that we do? What is financial reporting software? What problems does it solve for franchises? How does it solve those problems? And we're actually going to take you through some key features and a quick demonstration of our solution. Not going to be as detailed as we could be, but I always invite anyone and everyone to join me outside, or anyone else from my team, for an individual demonstration if you so choose. And then last, the what's in it for me. What kind of results can I expect from a solution like Qvinci? So let's keep the ball rolling. About Qvinci. Qvinci is a company that was founded in Austin, Texas in 2007. Originally, we actually went by a slightly different name. It was Quick Dash, and it really focused on taking care of the needs of individual business owners as it related to giving more reporting options than what you could get out of a simple QuickBooks file. QuickBooks, while it's a very powerful accounting software and frankly fits the needs of small, medium businesses very well, it in a lot of ways lacked on the reporting side of the house. And the original intent of Qvinci was to fill those gaps. Well, you notice right below this, we're a partner of the Intuit franchise program. In fact, we're their exclusive recommended reporting solution. That partnership came to fruition when in 2008, Intuit actually came to Qvinci. Our founder, Charles Nagel, is an inventor, and we term him a visionary and an artist. They came to him with a problem, and the problem was we are really struggling as a company, as Intuit, to put together a piece of software that can allow us to accurately and in a timely fashion consolidate disparate charts of accounts and disparate types of software. They'd thrown at that point something to the tune of many millions of dollars at this development, and approached Charles and said, look, we'd really love to partner with you if you can create something that can solve this problem for us. Well, and that's where Qvinci really evolved from, is going from that single file individual client focus to really an ERP-like reporting environment, but without the ERP cost or the ERP support requirements as well. So some other things that we're pretty proud of: we are now the #1 reporting app in the Intuit App Store based on the reviews of our clients, both number and rating. And we own a couple of different patents, and to be frank, have many more pending. One of our major achievements is earning the patent as it relates to dynamic mapping to a standard chart of counts, which is really what makes our product special, or one of the things that makes our product special. And we'll get a little bit more in detail on that here in a little bit. So, what is financial reporting software? As the line says, in a nutshell, it plugs the gaps in your accounting software. Once again, accounting software like QuickBooks and Xero and QuickBooks Online and even MYOB, they are great for individual operators. It's an easy-to-use system. It's something that is not terribly expensive or complicated, and frankly, there's a level of there's a level of understandability that comes with it, so you don't have to be an accountant to make use of their product. Well, where we come in is we really deliver value to people who operate environments like franchises, in that we can help you save money, because you no longer have to call out and ask your franchisees for financial reporting. We can save your franchisees money by providing them invaluable benchmarking tools and analytics based on the data that we have from your environment, so that they can run a better business. Obviously, we automate that task because we have a syncing system built into our solution that will automatically pull reporting level information from disparate sources. And it doesn't matter if you operate a business that has 4 locations, or you're a multi-unit, multi-concept franchisor with 4,000. The information comes over automatically, and it comes over accurately. We can help you reduce risk. As part of that automation, our syncing technology is extremely secure, to the tune of, we actually operate at 4 times the encryption rates of most standard encryption devices on the market right now. And what that gives you is, instead of your franchisees being concerned about emailing you a PDF that represents their P&L data for whatever time frame it is you require it, our system pulls it and heavily encrypts it and packages it in a way that, while any technology is not 100% and never will be 100% hack-proof, we make it really, really difficult to do. In fact, much more difficult than most options on the market. And then, of course, improving efficiency. I deal with franchisors on a regular basis that are clients that just sing the praises as it relates to how much time automating some of these processes has saved them on the accounting end, and also how much work it saves them on the operational end. Because now, you know what, my ops teams do not have to ask for financial reporting any longer before they go in and perform a visit or an audit. They simply have the information in hand. So, what problems does Qvinci solve for franchisees, or for franchises specifically? Item 19 is really becoming a big piece to the entire FDD structure, and with the really drive to the cloud is what we term it in business. Everyone is looking for that next step that's going to give them more visibility into what drives financial success in their business. Back in 2008, it's funny, there was an interesting paradigm shift, and there are articles from people like Dan Martin with IFX, who was once a board member at the IFA, to many other sources as well, that spoke to how much more challenging it became in the franchise world to go out and get new franchisees, because the focus for years had been on, we're focused on top-line revenue. Because that's really, from a compliance perspective and from an income perspective, that was the franchisor's focus. Well, come 2008, the United States went into a major financial crisis, and the fact was, money was not as available to prospective franchisees as it once was. And this paradigm shift occurred, in which we, large franchise systems, some of which are actually fit into our client list, said, you know what, maybe the right answer is we need to focus on making every single one of our franchisees as profitable as possible. Because instead of walking into a prospective new investor who maybe has never owned a franchise, there's nobody more qualified in your environment to own your franchise than an existing franchisee. And if you can drive them to as much success as possible, or help them drive themselves, then ostensibly down the road, you may have somebody that's going to grow their business, and as a function of that, grow yours. So slow or non-existent access to data. This is, we've got clients that have never even asked for a financial from their franchisees, all the way to ones that ask for them on a monthly basis. And rarely do we hear much more than about a 15 to 20% return rate as it relates to compliance with their franchisees sending them that information. And, I have one client that was laughing when he said it, but he's like, and the honest truth is the 15 or 20% that send us their financials are not necessarily the ones that need the most help. They tend to be the most organized. Well, the beauty behind what we offer is it helps solve that problem through automating those tasks so your franchisees don't even have to think about it. You receive the data, you receive it in an accurate format, and you receive it in a standardized format. Difficulty consolidating. Difficulty consolidating is really the major problem that Intuit faced whenever they were trying to figure out how to solve this problem for a franchisor. Because as a franchisor, while yes, many proactive franchisors have dictated a standard chart of accounts. They've said whenever you set up for XYZ cleaning company, here is your chart of accounts. This is what we consider the corporate brand standard, and this is what we would like you to follow. The unfortunate reality is unless you really monitor that closely, it can deviate and end up way out in left field pretty quickly as people add things like expense accounts, as they add things like different COGS accounts, or they want to see their revenue set up differently. And the net of it is when you get to a certain, we'll call it a critical mass, say 20, 30 units, and in some cases thousands. When you get to that critical mass, you realize that while sure, even if I get a high percentage of compliance on my P&L data, I've got to dedicate 3 or 4 full-time employees a significant portion of their time to simply turn that information into something functional. Big challenge there, because your one franchisee may call something lease, another one may call it rent, another one may have various other items lumped into a sub-accounts of a main account, and it makes things very, very difficult. And it's getting everybody singing off the same sheet of music is a major challenge. Some other big pieces, an unfortunate one would be fraud. I always cite an example, and this isn't necessarily there's no way to determine if this was fraud or if it was just simply people not understanding what they were doing. But one of our larger clients came to us and said, hey, look, we can't seem to find this money that should be here whenever we review our franchisees' financials. I mean, it looks like revenue is being missed. And this is a company that values ethics at the utmost, and it had all the faith in the world that their franchisees weren't doing anything untoward. It may have just simply been a problem. Well, in Qvinci, we developed a solution that found out that due to just simply inputting journal entries on the wrong side of the change in a period, this franchisor was missing about $3 million in unreported income. And if you're a franchisor, you can absolutely understand how that may represent a problem. Unfortunately, we were able to help them see it, show them how to fix it, and also give them the information they needed to coach their franchisees, so that it wouldn't happen again, for benefits on both ends. I mean, obviously it's important for this information to be accurate for the franchisor, but if you're going to run a successful business, you need to have accurate accounting as a franchisee as well. So, how does Qvinci solve these problems? Well, automated collection we've touched on. Automated collection, we allow, through our system, we allow you to say, okay, whenever we've deployed to a franchisee, if they're on something like QuickBooks Online, if we link to QuickBooks Online, we sync your franchisee's summary financial data every day at midnight. And so you know that when you log into Qvinci, what you're seeing is a direct reflection of, at the summary financial level, what's in their actual accounting file. If you're talking about QuickBooks Desktop, we have a proprietary QuickBooks Desktop sync application that ties to their system and brings information automatically over every time they open their QuickBooks file. And that's regardless of whether or not it's a 2015 Enterprise all the way back to 2009 Premier. It's whether or not it's on a laptop, a desktop, or even hosted at one of our partners like Right Networks. Um, we offer a similar syncing technology with Zero, a smaller market accounting solution that's also a great product. And even for those who aren't on one of those three systems, we offer folks an Excel option. While not automated, still really cleans up the entire reporting process and makes sure that it's secure and transmitted accurately. So consolidation and up to date and reporting of up to date financial data. The major issue, and I touched on this earlier, the major issue with putting together charts of varying charts of accounts or disparate charts of accounts is differing language. Qvinci, as part of our solution, owns a patent on dynamic mapping to a standard chart of accounts. What that means is regardless of what the franchise environment, so say I'm a franchisor, I've got 1,000 locations. At unit 501, we decided we were going to start mandating a specific chart of accounts. But the reality is the 500 before that have differing franchise agreements, have differing FDDs, and it's really difficult for us to obligate them to make a change because the reality is it's their business and it wasn't set forth in the original agreement. Well, the beauty with dynamic mapping to a standard chart of accounts is with Qvinci, you can give us access. You can say, okay, here is the chart of accounts that I want to see whenever I run consolidated reporting, whenever I run benchmarking, so that I can ensure that everybody's singing off the same sheet of music. So as a for instance, if we were going to say an expense item, a typical expense item is going to be rent or lease or mortgage, okay? Say at corporate, you want to call it a fixed expense dash rent, but you have franchisees that call it something else. Well, the beauty is whenever we sync that data in, you can simply tell us what account needs to go where. And we will, every time we pull the information, the data will be accurately reflected for everyone's use in the environment on the standard language. So you know that if you're doing a location by location or a store by store comparison, that you're comparing apples to apples. And conversely, if if you decide to offer benchmarking to your franchisees, which I always recommend, your franchisees will be able to benchmark themselves in detail in an understandable format against the environment and see how they perform. So real-time access for stakeholders. Qvinci does not limit the number of logins that any account can have on it, and in fact, we don't charge anything for them either. And so, imagine, for instance, I'm a controller at a franchise corporate office. I really experienced the problems associated with tracking this financial information down and turning it into something useful. And then I have to typically provide it to the rest of the executive staff so that appropriate and intelligent financial decisions can be made based on the data. Well, the beauty here is, while yes, we absolutely solve one of the pain points for that controller or for that CFO or for that accounting person, the ability to say, okay, now that we've got this environment built, I'm going to give my CEO access. I'm going to give my CFO access or my COO access. I'm going to give all of my franchise consultants or franchise business coaches access. But I'm also going to provide access to my franchisees. It's really, our objective is to get the right data in the right hands so the right decisions can be made. An extensive array of business intelligence tools and features. We'll get into this in a little more detail in the quick demonstration, but we understand here at Qvinci that not everybody's going to spend their time poring over a P&L or poring over a balance sheet. And those who don't have the time may not have who have the time may not have the acumen to understand what's being shown to them. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, when I look at a P&L, I tend to focus on the top line, the bottom line, and then I may run a prime cost or something like that. Well, with Qvinci as a solution, you not only get a dashboard that shows you some high-level and easy to digest financial metrics, but you get tools like a full custom report builder that allow you to generate tabular KPIs that are very specific to your business. We don't presume to know the desires of every single business and to know what the ideal KPI of every single business is. So we give you an interface that allows you to build your own. and really customize to your heart's content. On top of that, we've got alert systems that will tell you if you've got a problem. We've got systems like we've got a pro forma tool, which I'll run over here in a little bit, that takes that benchmark report that I was talking about earlier that a franchisee would be looking at and turns it into visual data that gives them an actionable forecast based on the size of their business with the best practices ran by the top 10% of your business. So it really shows them if you want to run your business at optimum efficiency based on what we forecast as your expected gross revenue, this is how you need to spend your money and what you need to sell. So we're going to go over some of those key features in a demonstration right now. You can give me 1 second to get it pulled over. Okay. So this is the Qvinci dashboard. The Qvinci dashboard is available to any and every user that's part of the Qvinci environment. This is what I was referencing earlier in the webinar when I mentioned that we've got very straightforward and easy to understand financial metrics that we give to you in real time. Well, real time as of the previous day. And the objective here is to provide any and every user within your environment the ability to very quickly log in, see where their business stands, ensure that there aren't issues, and if there are major issues, bring them to light as quickly as possible. I'll give you a for instance. What we are looking at here is a franchisor type view where we are actually consolidating for each of these financial metrics a total of 26 locations. Once again, our system is extremely scalable. So this could be a 26, it could also be 5,000. It really just depends on what your needs are, and we are built to meet those needs. You can always drill into an individual location and see exactly what that location's dashboard looks like. Conversely, say I'm a franchisee and I'm the Austin, Texas franchisee. Whenever I log into Qvinci, what I'm going to see is a dashboard representation of my business. So, you know, in a world where if I'm a franchisee that utilizes something like a QuickBooks Enterprise solution and it's deployed to a remote server or hosted somewhere, it can be pretty cumbersome to log into that to see where my cash stance is, or to ensure that I'm actually that my AP people are actually paying the bills. The beauty with Qvinci is with a single login, they get all of this information in one place on top of their reporting. So it can be very powerful. In addition to that, if I were a franchisee that owns more than one location, I can see a dashboard representation of both of my locations, even if they're different files, which that in of itself is an absolute ton of value. And in fact, we have many clients that are franchisees that suffer from the same problems that our franchisor clients do and come to us directly and set up their own Qvinci account. Some other items to add is if you look over here in a larger environment, this becomes very powerful, are quick filters. These are 100% customizable to your needs. So if you need to, if you segment your business by region, you can insert regions as a filter group and very quickly carve into regions and see how a specific region is performing. You can do it by franchise consultant. You can do it by square footage of location or service offering or anything that really makes sense for you to compare your businesses or split your businesses up by can be added as a filter group and reported against. Now, the dashboard is very high level in nature, but one thing that I will add is any of the visual data that you see, if you hover over it, you'll actually see numeric information that comprises what you're being shown. So if you ever have a question and want to see a specific number, you can do so. Now, this does not require dynamic mapping to a standard chart of accounts to generate. Typically, income items are an account type. They're very easy for us to put together. Now, when we get into the reporting layer, that is where things get a lot more complicated. And I think it's important to understand that our map to SCOA tool is what our patent revolves around currently. And that's the ability as a franchisor or as a business owner to upload a chart of accounts and then take the accounts from your franchisees and say, okay, I understand that for the franchisees it makes sense to call this account in their QuickBooks file engine service engine diagnostic. But for our reporting purposes, we call that engine work. You simply tell us what data you want to move, where you want to move it, and map the selection. And then moving forward, any reporting data that updates in those accounts at the franchisee's location, whenever you perform consolidated reporting within Qvinci, will reflect where you desire to see it. So, and I'm going to go over our reporting pieces pretty quickly because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. These are the reports that we currently offer. We offer you P&L, balance sheet, statement of cash flow, profit and loss weekly, peer benchmarking, which is a huge value at both the franchisor and franchisee level. Ranking, you know, being able to simply come in here and run a ranking report and say, give me the ranking of all of my locations based on these metrics. Makes it very easy for those of you who put together these ranking reports to carve out to whichever metric you care to rank against. You can export it to Excel. You can export it as a PDF. It makes it, once again, very quick, very easy. And in addition to that, if you're a franchisee and you see we're out of 25 locations here, if I'm a franchisee, what I see is this. I see my location out of 25 and where I rank in each one of these categories. And for those of you guys that have competitive franchisees, this can be an absolutely fantastic driver to get them to either A, communicate with you and find out, hey, you know, what are these, what am I missing here? What can I do to perform better? Or B, to simply drive their business to be a success if they know what needs to happen. We also offer your key 11 financial ratios, an AR and AP aging report, sales by customer, expense by vendor, and trial balance. Keep in mind, any report that you run, you can choose whom you want to see. If I want to see the entire environment, I can do so. If I want to see the North region by location for this calendar year, I can look at a standardized P&L for the 4 locations that comprise the North region and see in detail what their performance has been thus far and what they are as a total. And of course, from here, you can memorize any report that you generate within Qvinci. You can name it, and when you memorize it, if it's a P&L or a balance sheet-based report, you actually go into something that's very similar to an Excel-like interface. And the beauty behind this is our custom report builder, is you have the ability to come in here and say, you know what, I really want to carve off everything but these 5 income items. I'm going to hide those, and then I'm going to insert a row here and just call it what you will. And say, you know what, what I care about is engine sales divided by the number of bays that this particular location has. It's very easy for you to say something like A4 divided by 10 and generate a number based on that formula. And create a memorized report that, since this is on a reference date range, will carry with you in perpetuity, because it's a year-to-date report with a fixed location set that says, okay, give me where each one of these locations is on an income per bay against these line items perspective. And you can even go as far as to say, you know what, I want to hide everything else but that number, because that's what I'm KPIing. So once again, something you only have to build once, and while it's similar to Excel, where it's really powerful is we update the data automatically. And so that year-to-date report, as their QuickBooks file is updated, will update on its own. A couple of other items that I do want to cover very quickly before I leave this open for question and answer, and also go over what I think of are a review of the values that we offer. Want to take a look at My Alerts and Pro Forma. Pro Forma is a tool that shows you what, based on the benchmarks of the top 10% in the environment and the volume this location has historically done, including trending, your ideal targets should be. And it gives you a rendering. And this is what it does is it simplifies the understanding of a benchmark report. It says, since Qvinci syncs current year and previous 2 years, every time we pull data, we know what your historical performance has been, at least for the last 2 years, on a per location basis. We also know what the ideal benchmarks are based on the benchmarks of the top 10% and the vertical analysis ratios associated. So we can take all of that information and give you an output that says a business of your size with your growth, contraction, or stability trend, if you're going to run like the top 10%, this is how much you should sell in miscellaneous parts income for this month, because we know what your last 2 years of this month were, and we can trend it out. Can be a very powerful tool, particularly for those who maybe don't have the time or the actual financial acumen to really consume a true financial benchmark. This really paints a very clear picture as to how you're performing against the ideal, and can allow your franchisees and even your FBCs or franchise consultants to really drive towards that optimum efficiency as dictated by the benchmarks out of the top 10%. Lastly, I wanted to touch on alerts. Alerts has a lot of power for every user. What alerts allows you to do is, on a user basis, you can come in here and say, you know what, I've determined that rebuilt engine sales is really the path to success for the Austin, Texas location. As such, I want to track how they're trending on a month-to-date target of $50,000 in sales. And I can save this. And I'm going to receive an email alert every day that tells me how this location is trending towards this objective. I can build a group of these. And since this is a cost item, I've determined that rebuilt engine sales to freight and shipping costs is an important ratio that needs to be managed directly. I can say, you know what, I really need to create a threshold for this, because for me to make money on this $50,000, this number really can't exceed $12,500. And once again, instead of getting 2 emails a day, I'm going to get 1 email of a spreadsheet that consists of all of the alerts that I've created out on a daily alert. And that can be for every single location in the environment. It can be for select locations. But every user has the ability to set up their own alerts. So what's important to your franchisees to track may be different than what your franchise consultants will track. Maybe different from what the CFO or the COO will track. But the idea is even for those who either have the time, don't have the time, or the desire to access Qvinci every day, you can set up a reporting structure that says, I'm still going to notify you of this, of where you stand on these objectives on a daily basis, so that it stays top of mind, and we focus on, keep our eye on the golden ring, if you will. So that was a quick Qvinci demonstration. There it is. A very, very brief version. I recommend anybody that would like to see more detail, please reach out to our sales group here at Qvinci, as we have industry-specific experts that will be happy to take you through exactly what Qvinci can do for you. But I do want to cover, just in review, what results can you expect? The old adage, what's in it for me? 24/7 access to your financials. And that's regardless of whether or not you're a franchisor based in Boston and you've got people based in Canada, or based in, Salem, Oregon, or in Seattle. The information comes over automatically, and you can access it anywhere that you have an internet-enabled device. Deeper insights into your business performance. We hear over and over again when speaking with our clients, how does your product differ from the POS solution that we already use? And the reality is, while a POS solution from a transactional perspective has a lot of value, if you're interested in focusing on what really drives profit, which is the bottom third of a P&L, what really can impact profit at the unit economics level, most POS solutions aren't going to give you that information. And so just simply being able to drill down top to bottom line on a P&L and see a detailed balance sheet, and frankly ensure that your businesses are paying their bills, or that they're getting paid on their work. Those are important insights that you're not going to find in any other tool, but a solution like Qvinci. Um, Problems highlighted before they become real trouble. I cited paying their bills, and it's an unfortunate anecdote, but one nonetheless. One of our largest clients, and frankly one of the largest franchisors in the United States, came to us originally because they were like, look, we've been operating on POS data for 5 years, and it's been great. We just got done with our annual convention, which is a major to do. And at our convention, we give awards, and we give awards to, from a revenue perspective, who are top performing franchisees, amongst others. And they bring their top 3 franchisees up on stage. They award them, recognize them, and really laud what they've done throughout that given year. And the unfortunate case happened, and they came back from their convention after awarding two of the top 3 franchisees, number 1 and number 3, to find out that their number 1 franchisee just closed his doors and had to declare bankruptcy, and their number 3 franchisee is about to do the exact same thing. And the reality is, if they looked at the POS data, everything looked great. I mean, from a volume perspective, they were literally in the top 3 performers. But the reality was, one was going through some terrible personal issues and just wasn't paying his bill, and the other one was going through was just overpaying on his expenses to the point where he wasn't running a profitable business. And regardless of what the top line said, the bottom line is what mattered to that franchisee, and it was smarter for them to for them to shut the doors. And so those deeper insights are important, and we are gathering, especially with the successes we've had as a company and just the general buzz in the industry, that it's becoming more of a focus in the franchise segment, and we hope that that's a continuing trend. Improve financial target tracking. Whenever you set a target, it's important to A, set a clear target, set an attainable target, and B, ensure that you are tracking your performance to that target in as frequent a basis as possible. There's no better way to do that than through an email alert system that can prompt somebody to pay attention to what they're doing. To say, you know what, I've been so focused on working on my business or working in my business that I haven't focused on the rest of the bigger picture. And the rest of the bigger picture is training my salespeople to be selling the right things, to be asking for the upsells, to be ensuring that they're adding services, and also managing the expenses that we're accruing as a function of that, and ensuring that we're not giving away the farm in order to make these sales. That's what something like a KPI tool or just general financial tracking can make available to you. And then lastly, actionable data to help your business grow. There are a few things more valuable in the technology world than data, than being able to see. It's the old adage: historical success is the greatest indication of future success. And if you can see what's worked in the past, you can, with some level of evolution, see what could potentially work in the future. And really stay on top of those items. And instead of saying, you know what, we collect our P&Ls once a year, and we put out a pretty high-level benchmarking report to our franchises, and we also use it for our financial performance representations and our FDD, how much more powerful would it be for you to say, at worst case, everybody reviews their financial status on a monthly basis and potentially weekly or even daily, using a solution like Qvinci. And instead of us spinning our wheels trying to get this information and normalize it and standardize it, we bring the information in. It goes out to everyone immediately. It's not 6 months out of date. And everybody, instead of spending their time just trying to put together the report, they can spend their time doing something useful with the data and the value that the report actually delivers. So last piece I want to cover and is Qvinci security. I had mentioned earlier that we are very, very cognizant and responsible with how we handle anybody and everybody that we engage with data. Some key items are: we are hosted at Amazon Web Services, which if those of you who are not familiar with AWS also hosts the Department of Defense. They also host QuickBooks Online and a large contingent of other large players in the cloud space. They carry a statement of compliance, or SOC 1, 2, and 3. They are HIPAA compliant, FIPS, and of course Department of Defense certified as well. And all of those security compliances carry over to us as their client. Within Qvinci, only senior level employees can access the database, and that's only done at your request. So if you have break fix issues or have a question, with your permission, we will engage with you directly to take a look at your account and figure out what's going on. And not to mention, by design, Qvinci does not sync personal information, or what is termed as, or industry accepted as, fraud-sensitive information. We don't pull social security numbers. We don't pull bank numbers, or bank account numbers. We don't pull credit card numbers. Our system isn't coded to do it, and frankly, we don't want it. And so that's something that inevitably, when I'm talking to one of the outlying locations, a franchise location, or an individual owner operator, it's a question that always comes up. Who can see this? We go to great lengths to ensure that the only people who can see the data are the people who own the data, as in the franchisee, and also the corporate office, and those who have permission via the corporate office to view the data. As far as ensuring that all of these policies and commitments are in place, our senior level management do perform audits against who has access to what, and ensures that through log tracking and so on and so forth, that there's nobody within Qvinci accessing what they should not be. So now what? We are at the Q&A portion of this discussion, and I'm always happy to open up the phones if anybody wants to ask a direct question, or you can always, via the chat window, drop any questions you have in there. And I know I've got a couple of my colleagues on the line that are happy to answer if you'd prefer to do it via chat. Once again, I'm Roman Delino. I cover here food and restaurant, home services, medical, and dental. I also cover our non-franchise businesses that are banking, credit union, and financial services. And Caitlin Underwood, health, beauty, fitness. She's also senior in home health care, property management, real estate investing, and pet services. And then, of course, Rich Madison and Marty De Los Santos. At this point, I would like to open the floor for questions. If you'd like to ask one directly, please don't hesitate to use the raise your hand option or to chat in the window, and we'll open up the line for you to ask it directly. All right, we did have a question that came in via chat earlier that I do want to address real quick. And the question was, can Qvinci sync by class or location? And the answer is yes. Qvinci, actually, we've got a couple of different manners that we can pull information from a specific accounting file. We offer by file. And then on top of that, if you have a class or if you have a location within a QuickBooks file or a group of classes or locations, we can sync those as individual locations. And so, as a for instance, I'm a multi-unit franchise owner. While yes, I operate multiple locations, I only operate a single accounting file. So my 5 locations, let's say, each exist as a class or a location or a department within a QuickBooks file. Well, Qvinci gives you 2 different options. We can either sync the file as a whole and tell you what that franchise business looks like as a whole, or we can break out and sync every individual class as an individual location so that you can see at a true unit economics level, how are each one of the specific stores performing, or put them all together and use them as a benchmark as well. All right. Well, we're going to leave chat open for a few more minutes in case any other questions come up. Once again, I really want to thank everybody for joining us today and hope that everybody got some value out of this. I know we saw some current clients as part of the registration, also some new ones. Yeah, can't encourage you enough. Please, if you have questions, take a look at the slide I've got up, and whichever one of these industries you apply to, feel free to reach out to that individual directly. And we're more than happy to engage, ensure that you are 100% comfortable and confident with what we do and how it can work for you, and take things from there. So appreciate everybody today, and everyone have a great day.